Right, 2 games into the new season and the wheels are already coming off at Ibrox. A £3 million defender who could be worth 10 times that by the weekend. But after what I've just watched from him in Poland, there's a very serious conversation happening about shipping him out before the window shuts. And wait until you hear which French club is circling. And then, a Scotland international, a lad I genuinely rate, sitting on the sidelines with another injury while Bologna, West Ham and Lazio, yes, Lazio, are all lining up with their checkbooks open. And a former Rangers man has come out swinging in his defence in a way you would not believe. £10 million on the table, a manager with a decision to make, and a future at Ibrox hanging by a thread. Stay with me because this one's going to sting. Right, listen, I was over on Ibrox News earlier, and I nearly spat my tea out reading this one, honestly. Because here we are, 2 games into the new season, 2 games, and the conversation has already started about selling Emmanuel Fernandez. 2 games. Let that sink in for a minute. Now look, I want to be fair to the lad. Last season, first year at the club, I thought he was one of the few bright spots in a defence that, let's be honest, was falling apart most weekends. He came in from Peterborough for £3 million, signed a long-term deal, and I remember thinking at the time, right, this could be a proper find. And for the most part, last season, he was. But this season, different story altogether. 2 games in, and I've watched him twice now, once against Dundee United up at Tannadice, once away in Poland against Jagiellonia, and both times I've come away thinking, what on earth has happened to this boy over the summer? The 1-1 draw at Tannadice, that was the first warning sign, and I said it at the time. I said the back four looked all over the shop. Then Thursday night in Poland, honestly, I could barely watch it. Rangers went ahead, own goal from Montoya, lovely start, and then, well, and I'm quoting Derek McINNES here from what he told Sky Sports after the game, the manager said, "I just felt we beat ourselves, to be honest." And that's the manager saying that. That's not me on the couch shouting at the telly. That's the man in the dugout telling the world we handed it to them. 2-1 it finished. And Fernandez, well, his slip let them in for the second goal. A slip. At this level. In Europe. First qualifying round we're playing in, and we're slipping over. Now, here's where it gets spicy for me, right? Because Ian McCall was on open goal, and Ian McCall doesn't hold his tongue. We know that fine well. And he, as good as said, if the money comes in for Fernandez, you take it. He was talking about the way Dundee United got down the sides of him so easily, and then he did that thing, you know, that puffing out of the lips thing that basically means, listen, if someone waves a check, you're daft not to cash it. That's a former manager, on a public platform, telling the 49ers to sell one of our centre-backs after 2 games. And Stade Rennes are apparently sniffing about. French Ligue One side. The word on Ibrox News is they're properly interested. Now, I've seen numbers floating around about £30 million being the valuation Rangers would want. 30 million. For a lad we paid 3 million for last summer, on paper, that's the deal of the century, isn't it? But hold on, honestly, hold on a minute, because after these 2 performances, is anyone still writing that check? 30 million? I love the idea of it, I really do, but I think, in my heart of hearts, that number might be a pipe dream now if he keeps playing like this. Peterborough have got a big sell-on clause and all, apparently, so we'd be splitting the money too. It's messy, it's not clean. And the other thing eating at me, right, is what McINNES said after the Jagiellonia game, and this is the bit that really stuck in my throat. He said, "We've seen a lot tonight of what I thought Rangers were last season. I thought they gave up too many chances and gave teams too much encouragement." That's the manager, in his own words, saying we've slipped straight back into the bad habits. The habits that cost us last season. 2 games in, he was talking about concentration, organization, communication, aggression, all the basic stuff, all the stuff you shouldn't have to say about a Rangers side in August. And when Ben Godfrey went down injured against Dundee United, poor Dujon Sterling has been shoved into centre-back. Sterling's not a centre-back, we all know that. So we're already patching things up, and it's the first week of the season. Now, the way I see it, and I've been chewing on this all morning, I think John Sauter has to come into that back four for the return leg at Ibrox. He knows the badge. He knows what it means. He'll organise the people around him. Even Ian McCall said Sauter should be getting a look in, and I agree with every word of it. Put Sauter, and let's stop leaving that great big gap between the midfield and the defence that Jagiellonia drove a bus through on Thursday. Because right now, honestly, the biggest problem isn't Fernandez the footballer. The biggest problem is the structure, the shape, the way we lose our discipline the second we go ahead. And if we don't fix that before Thursday at Ibrox, we're out of Europe before August is finished, and I don't need to tell you what that would do to the mood around the club. So look, the question I want you to have a proper think about tonight, and I want you down in the comments telling me straight. No fence-sitting. If Stade Rennes phone up next week and offer £20-odd million for Emmanuel Fernandez, do we take the money and run, or do we tell them where to go and back the lad to sort himself out? Because I've made my mind up. Have you? Right, listen. And this one I picked up over on Ibrox News as well. And I'll be dead honest with you. This story properly pulls at my heartstrings because I really like Connor Barron. I really do. Here's the situation, right? Connor Barron, 23 years old, could be out the door before the window slams shut. And I sit here thinking, how have we got to this point with the lad? Because rewind 12 months, everything was rosy. He came in from Aberdeen, he was settling in beautifully, and then that knee injury last season, a bad one, kept him out for months. He fought his way back, got himself fit for the run-in, and then, well, Danny Roll barely gave him a sniff. And we all know how that story ended, don't we? Roll orchestrated the whole downfall and walked away, and here we are. Now, when McINNES came in, I honestly thought, right, this is Barron's second chance. A proper Scottish manager, a manager who knows the domestic game inside out, he'll see what Connor can do. But then the signings started rolling in, didn't they? Cammy Devlin arrived, Vanja Dragojevic, Dan Neil. And suddenly, that midfield spot Barron was fighting for, well, there's a queue of people ahead of him now. And to make matters worse, and this is the bit that really gets me, he's picked up another knee problem. Now, from what I've read, it's not thought to be serious, thank goodness, but honestly, when your body keeps letting you down at 23, that's got to sit heavy on a young lad, hasn't it? McINNES has been playing Tochu Chukwani instead. Barron hasn't kicked a ball yet this season. Not one. But here's where it gets interesting for me, right? Because Kevin Thompson was on the breakdown, sitting there with Charlie Mulgrew and Ryan Stevenson, and Kevin came out swinging for the boy. Now, Kevin's honest about it. He says, Connor's a pal of his. Fair enough. We take that on board. But listen to what he actually said, right? Kevin's words were, Connor's a friend of mine. I think he's as good as Devlin and can give him a run for his money. And then he added, I hope Connor can force his way in. He's obviously been linked with a move away. And I'll tell you what, I agree with Kevin. I think Connor Barron, on his day, when he's fully fit and firing, is every bit as good as Cammy Devlin. Kevin also said he was disappointed with how Devlin played in that opening game up at Tannadice, reckoned the Dundee United midfield ran the show. And I saw it too, I was watching, and that midfield of ours was second best all afternoon, so there's a door open, right? There's an opportunity if Barron can just get his boots back on in the next week or so. But here's the other side of the coin. And this is where the club's got a proper decision to make. Bologna are in for him, Italian side, and apparently the whisper is you've got West Ham, freshly relegated, desperate to get back up, and they fancy Baron as part of the project. And Lazio, of all clubs, Lazio in Serie A, they're keeping tabs and all. £10 million is the figure being floated around as what we should be asking for. And I sit there, honestly, and I go back and forth on it. 10 million for a lad who's been injured, who hasn't nailed down a starting spot, who's 23 years old. That's a lot of money for the 49ers to bank. That's genuine business. But then the other half of my brain kicks in and I think, listen, this is a Scotland international. This is a boy with a proper future. And if we let him walk out that door for 10 million and he goes to Bologna and becomes a star, we'll be kicking ourselves for years. Years, I'm telling you. Nothing's advanced yet, apparently. It's all bubbling under the surface. But time, as they say, is running out. That window shuts, and either Connor Barron is a Rangers player fighting for his place, or he's off to Italy or the Championship, and we're waving him goodbye. Honestly, I hope he stays. I hope McINNES pulls him aside, tells him he's part of the plans, and gets him back on that pitch giving Cammy Devlin a proper run for his money, just like Kevin Thompson said. Because we've seen too many good young Scottish lads leave Ibrox and light it up somewhere else, and I've got no appetite for another one. So tell me straight, down in the comments, no sitting on the fence. If Bologna offer £10 million for Connor Barron this week, do we take the money and move on? Or do we tell McINNES to build the midfield around this boy and give him the chance he's earned? Because I know what I'd do. Do you?